we have got our amazing special guests here with us today. We have got Chunky and we have got Abbas. Abbas, I'm not sure if you're still in transit to your home right now. So if you don't respond, that's totally cool. I know you'll be with us very soon. But Chunky, welcome, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. We mentioned in the DMs earlier that the second Quantic and I realized that this was going to be our Spaces topic today, both you and Abbas jumped to mind, but definitely yourself there, Chunky. Just from seeing the content you put out there, you're such a positive presence and an open presence in the space, and you are always just sharing the most genuine nuggets of how we can be better people and how we can overcome these crazy times. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. I want to send the mic over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me and thinking of me as well. I'm really excited for this topic because mental health is something that really touched me a lot in the past, and had some rough challenges here and there. So willing to share some of those. Hopefully people could learn from them, and basically how I overcome all those challenges. But yeah, it's very nice to be on a space, and nice to speaking to you again, Trav and Quantic, and very excited to speak to Abbas as well. This is the first time we actually speak to each other ever, so very excited to see what you have to share.
Wow, that kind of blows my mind, actually. Honestly, you guys were, I think, two of the strongest connections that I made very early on in this space. And to think that you guys haven't engaged like this before is mind-blowing. I mean, I feel like you guys are just, you have so many similarities in the sense that you are authentic, you are genuine, you are compassionate, and you really, really stood out to me in the early days of being in this space. And you guys still stand out to me. Let's be honest and let's be clear about that. So, I mean, it means a ton to me to be able to bring you guys together today and have this conversation. So thank you very much. Let's see here. I want to send the mic back to Quantic here real quick. Quantic, how are you feeling about today's topic, my friend?
I'm very excited as well, because one thing that I think that most people will agree is that this issue of talking about mental health and taking this seriously is something that I think is kind of recent, and I think that the people that really take this seriously is the people that have faced issues with their mental health, like stress, and all kinds of stuff, right? And I'm very excited to see if we can get people also on board within our audience to jump in and also tell us about their perspective, right? Personally, this is a topic that for me a couple of years ago, I had no idea about it. And ever since then, I've been learning, but through experience, not only with me, but also with friends, with family. So many things are connected with your mental health, right? It's key to learn about this issue. This goes far beyond Web3, I believe.
I couldn't agree more. And you bring up a very important point. I think we need to definitely highlight that this is a space for all of us. This is a space where, to kind of set the stage here, the idea is Quantic and I want to create a safe space where there will be zero judgment. So feel free to share whatever you would like, within reason, of course. You don't need to spill. I'm trying to say you don't share what you feel comfortable with. But also, I would just also like to just set the foundation here and just mention that there could be some sensitive topics that we do talk about today. So I'm just going to request that if you do come up, let's try and avoid very not hot topics, just in the sense of being sensitive to triggers. The idea of this story isn't to talk about old war stories and to talk about the gruesome details of things that we've seen. The idea is to talk about how these events made us feel. Just to kind of get the ball rolling with experiences, this is definitely something that I'm hyper aware of. I do have PTSD and I do plan on talking about it today. And I'm still very early in the journey. So triggers are something that I do deal with on a daily basis. So I just want everyone to know that if you do plan on coming up here, Quantic and I will do our absolute best to make sure that it is a safe place and that you do feel safe to do so. And that anyone just here listening, just wanting to lend an ear, hear some other people's experiences, learn that you're not alone. Just know that this will be safe for you as well. And we're going to make sure that it stays that way. So yeah, that's kind of the foundation I was hoping to set. Quantic, anything you'd like to add?
I think that we're all set to maybe talk about the market for a couple of minutes.
I think that's great. And how relevant is this to today's topic as well? Talking about mental health, we're seeing some pain in the market. Things are a little bloody. And you can tell just scrolling through this the timeline on CT how there's definitely mixed feelings out there. There's a mixed bag. It's interesting. I feel like this time compared to previous times where the market's dumped, there's definitely a little bit more of a humor element. I don't know if that's just me or if just the people who I have in my circle. There doesn't seem to be as much of an existential, we're going to zero, crypto's over, which is awesome. I think people are starting to understand that that this is a cycle. These things will happen. Often we will have to see lower lows before we see lower highs. So I'm encouraged by that. So let's jump into the charts here. I've pinned them all up to the top so you guys can take a look at them. Now, what I want to accomplish today with these charts is I've only posted the daily charts. And the reason that I've done this is because I want to set the stage of what I think the worst case scenarios might be for each asset, because I think that's what people really want to see right now. So I'm just pulling up my own Bitcoin chart here. I pulled up the wrong one. 1 second here. So I've got a couple things to keep in mind. First of all, elephant in the room, massive red candles. We've lost some gains here, my friends. But you know what? It's okay. We might go lower. As a matter of fact, I do anticipate that we will go lower before we go higher again. But there's a lot of evidence out there to support that this is not indeed the end, and we will eventually get back to higher highs. I want to actually acknowledge a couple people in the audience right now. We've got Vlad and we've got Rascal. Both of these legends have been posting some amazing content about what exactly has been happening in the macro scale. Rascal, for example, posted it was an amazing thread this morning, really outlining exactly many of the components that have contributed to this downfall. I'm actually going to pin that to this tweet to this space whenever I have a sec. But to anyone who's curious as to what the heck is actually going on, I highly recommend that you check that out. I'm not going to get into it right now, but there are some very valid reasons why that the market is going down. But I digress. Let's get back to the technical analysis here. So I've got a couple of labels on the chart. I've got 1 through 5. So first things first, I'm going to start with number 1. So we've got the volume. And now this is something that's interesting to point out here. So the one thing I want to just highlight is that looking back, you can see that whenever we've had these these massive moves in the Bitcoin price action, they've also been accompanied by massive amounts of volume. Now, that's different from what we're seeing here. You can see that with this last move that we've had over the last just over 24 hours, the volume is actually, it has not, shown us anything very impressive. As a matter of fact, from the last couple of down moves, you can see that we have that downward pattern that's happening. So what does this mean? There's a theory out there called volume price analysis, and it talks about how there should be a convergence with the size of the move and the size of the volume. So what we have here is actually a mismatch. So what that could suggest, mind you, just keep in mind that this is the textbook explanation. It doesn't always go like this, is that because there's a mismatch, this may not actually be the true move. So it's possible that we might see a good bounce back up here and see a bit of a recovery. Now, I don't anticipate that we will be making any new higher highs. As a matter of fact, I don't think we will even get any higher than the 22,500 level. I've got a purple line there. I do personally anticipate that we will be going lower. And the reason I say this is because now in the macro trend, this is officially a lower low. Usually this, my hope is that this is you can have, hold on, I'm getting all over the place. Let me backtrack a little bit. When you do have a lower low, it can mean a couple of things. Either we've started a new downtrend and it's too early to be able to be decisive on that. I don't think we have. Or this is a correction. A correction is a natural process in any sort of trend in the market where usually there's a couple of different theories about this. I won't get into those at the moment, but whenever we have any sort of directional move, often we'll have a kind of like a consolidation where price backtracks a little bit to gather some steam before we go back up. I will be convinced that this will be one of those moves as long as we don't create new lows. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the point I wanted to get across with that. So let's go take a look at a couple other things. Number 2, we've got the RSI. This measures the overbought versus oversold nature of price action. You can see here actually that there's this red coloring that shows that it's oversold, and that shows that sellers are probably getting exhausted around this point. So I don't put all my weight in the RSI, but the RSI does suggest that we are going to recover a little bit before continuing to go down or going back up, whichever that may be. So that's kind of the RSI. Number 3, we've got these fair value gaps. Now, a couple things to think about. Generally, when I think of fair value gaps, the one principle that I keep in mind is that fair value gaps typically fill. So what that means is, let's look at this red one, for example. Price basically plummeted, created this fair value gap. I expect at some point for price to go back and basically retrace its steps through that fair value gap. The other thing to consider is if you look to the left, we have these green boxes. Those are bullish fair value gaps, and we still haven't filled those. So I would not be surprised if we do continue down to that area and fill those at some point, whether that's now, whether that's later. In my opinion, sooner the better. They don't always fill, but there's a high probability that they will. So yeah, I'm keeping my eyes open on that as well. Number 4 are the levels that I'm looking at right now. So you can see this green box that says Hail Mary level. We've officially broken that. That one indicates that we have created the lower low. We also have this purple level just below that. That's my new line in the sand. I'm hoping that we stay above this if we want any chance in retracing to the upside. But if we break below that, I honestly do feel that we're heading back all the way down to that red line at the very least. One thing that kind of helps support this are those fair value gaps that I spoke about a second ago. Also, if you look on the right-hand side of the chart, we've got that blue-yellow formation there. I've spoken about this a couple of times. That's the volume profile. This shows the amount of liquidity for specific levels. We've got a pretty big gap in this area. And typically when you have a gap like this, price flows through it very, very easily. So we'll likely, if we do break below that purple line, we will likely see a very quick move down to the next volume shelf, which is where that red line comes out of. Real quick, that red line, that's the volume point of control. And what that means is this is the level where there is the most amount of transactions and most amount of volume that entered the market when price was around this range. So, the last thing, this one's the kind of the least kind of significant in my opinion, but it is something to look at because a lot of people are looking at this, are the moving averages, the MAs. So just something interesting to note is I have my moving averages set to, I'm just going to double check here. I believe it's daily. Let's see here. I apologize for this, everyone. Oh, I'm in the wrong setting here. Yes, this is the daily. So it calculates based on daily price action as opposed to other time frames. I just want to note how strong we have that red line that comes down and across the screen. I just want to note, it actually acted as some pretty solid support there. And now, so that's the 50 moving average. The orange one is the 100 moving average. And you can see that price right now is kind of jammed right in between those two. So you can say that the 100 is acting as resistance, whereas the 50 is acting as support. So these are just going to be two levels that I'm going to be keeping an eye on as we move forward here. So I hope that kind of gives you guys an idea of where I'm thinking about price action here. Maybe a couple more quick things here. I also have these massive light purple trend lines. Now, what am I trying to say here? basically these can act also as support and resistance as they have in the past. Now, if price does continue to go down, you can see that there is a intersection between this purple line and that like kind of that light green line that indicates the low of like our lowest low that we've had that happened in mid to late November. I do expect that area to offer strong support. Also, just above that, I've spoken about these before as well, but we have those blue order blocks. Those will also be some pretty strong supports as well. That just shows that there's a lot of buyers there ready to intercept price and buy it back up if it does hit those levels. So I've definitely gone on along about this, but I'm just going to take a quick pause and offer anyone else who's up here right now, if you guys have any questions, if you had any concerns, anything else we want to talk about this real quick before I very quickly go in and move over to Ethereum and Solana. Anyone have anything that they'd like to add?
I can jump in here. First of all, Trav, thank you for that detailed analysis. Very much so appreciate it. It seems like you have a lot of experience with kind of technical analysis. So one question back to you is kind of where did you learn about TA? And then I just want to make one point kind of after you let us know.
Solid, man. Excuse me, please. Yeah. Well, hey, first of all, I appreciate you being here. I mean, we've now interacted a couple of times in Spaces, and it's always an absolute pleasure, man. So honestly, it means a lot that you're here with us today. I know you're going to add a lot of solid value to the topics that we do chat about. So yeah, just I appreciate with that, and I want to make sure that you know that. I learned technical analysis on my own, essentially. There was a ton of trial and error. I started off by, I met a friend in real life who knew about it. He started teaching me, and then I just kind of went down the rabbit hole. So a lot of different resources. I used YouTube. I used books. I used Reddit for a while. I used, let me see here. I think YouTube was honestly the most helpful one, but also hours and hours and hours just looking at charts and watching price move. So just literally a combination of everything that you could imagine. And through that, I kind of narrowed down to what spoke to me. There's a lot of different ways that you can read a chart, and I kind of narrowed down what spoke to me the most. Very, very happy to chat with you about that at any time. If anyone has any questions about that, feel free to reach out and shoot me some DMs here, and happy to chat about that. But I appreciate you asking that. I want to send the mic back to you, man.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with Rekt Capital, REKT Capital, but he has a lot of courses that have been helpful that I've kind of dove into. So that's another resource if people are interested. One thing I just wanted to kind of add is not from a technical perspective, but more of a fundamentals perspective. And so obviously there's a lot of turmoil in the crypto market and the broader market as a whole. And one thing that I personally look at, because again, I don't really have the experience or the skills of TA, I more look at the fundamentals. And one thing I just like to kind of remind everyone who may be kind of stressed out with where the markets are going is to really try to take a step back and just ask yourself, has any of the fundamentals of, let's just say Bitcoin, because that's what we've been focusing on, have any of the fundamentals of why you maybe invested in it in the beginning, have those changed? And so at times like this, when there's just mass panic in the market, the investors that I've learned from, the macro investors that have been doing this for far longer than me and are highly qualified, this is when they actually get bullish. And I know that may sound very counterintuitive, and it's really hard in investing. And I want to acknowledge the emotions that come up when we have this type of pain in the market. But the way I always look at it is, if you bought at any price above where it is, and you may be questioning, did I get in at the wrong time? Am I losing a bunch of money? The thing that I would just suggest is to take a step back, and if you bought at higher prices, one would think, and if the fundamentals haven't shifted, one would think that the lower prices is actually another good buying opportunity. Now, I'm not suggesting this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you you should buy at these levels, but more is just a reminder that if you take a step back and you look at the big picture, you realize that none of the fundamentals have shifted. And I think actually the last point I want to make about all these different banking, bank runs that are happening, it just to me points in the need for something like Bitcoin, because one of the promises and one of the use cases is to avoid exactly what we're seeing unfold in front of us. So I actually get really bullish when these scenarios happen. Now, I totally respect and understand that it causes a lot of pain and it causes a lot of stress. So I don't want it to happen. But when these banks blow up and you see all this leverage in the market, it just is a reminder to me of why I personally got into crypto in the beginning. So I just wanted to offer that outside of a TA analysis, just really look at it from a big picture and take a step back.
Really important point. Oops, sorry, go ahead, Quantic.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Travis. I just wanted to jump, and I really appreciate you sharing this free your mind, because it's actually the greatest point that you can make, that all of this that we're living right now is just a reminder of why all of this started in the first place, right?
I don't know if you wanted to respond to that for your mind, but the floor is yours if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll just say a quick comment. I absolutely echo that, right? It's not a coincidence that Bitcoin, and again, let's just focus on that for this part of the conversation. It's not a coincidence that it started January 2009 during the great financial crisis. And even on the Genesis block, the news article that's inscribed on it just really points to that. And so, yeah, I absolutely echo that. Trav, you can go ahead and jump in.
Awesome, man. I just want to commend both you guys both you guys for chatting about this. These are very important components of market analysis. Feeding Creed and fear. I'm forever going to say that now backwards, and it's going to be amazing. Are tools used by institutions, by the media, to influence retail investors that are like ourselves to buy and sell, so that they can benefit from that. And it's really important to keep this into consideration. I love that point about the fundamentals of blockchain, of cryptocurrency. Those have not changed, and you are 100% correct on that. Everything that's happening now is from outside circumstances that has nothing to do with the fundamentals of Bitcoin, of Ethereum, of Solana. If in fact, though, they are continuing to evolve, continuing to become more efficient, continuing to onboard new users. So as far as the future goes, I will continue to be very, very bullish on all of these assets. So amazing point, my friend. I think that's very appropriate for the topic that we're chatting about today. Is, what are the roots behind these emotions that we are feeling? And it's really important to address that. So thank you very, very much. That's very meaningful. And I'm glad that you kind of pulled me out of my technical mindset there. I get sucked in pretty easy. So that was perfectly timed, might I just add.
Yeah, just one point to that. Let me maybe offer a reframe. My intention is not to pull you out of the TA. It's really more me adding another perspective on top of the TA. And so that's just kind of how I think about it. I watch a lot of people on YouTube, and Rec Capital, like I said, is a great resource that I follow to learn about the TA. And then I like to just overlay that with the fundamentals. So as Gary Vee would say, it's not an either or, it's a both and.
Love it, my friend. And you absolutely nailed that. So thank you very much for your contribution. I'm getting excited talking about what we're talking about today, guys. I think we've got some amazing presences here. We've got some awesome people in the audience. Holy smokes. We've got, I think this is probably one of our most popular spaces yet so far, just with the attendance. And not only do we have the quantity, but we have the quality. I just want to quickly reset the room and thank all of you guys for being here so much. This is a very important topic to all of us. And I'm going to spend another 3 minutes just quickly going over Solana and Ethereum, and then let's get into the meat and potatoes of our chat today. So getting to Ethereum, I just basically want to pull it up and make people aware. It's basically the same story as Bitcoin. I just want you guys to be aware of the levels that I'm looking at, and I've marked them on the chart here for you guys to check out. Pretty much the same story. All 5 of those components that I did talk about when it came to Bitcoin are all present here as well, even to the point where we can see the 50 and the 100 moving average are basically interacting with price the exact same way that they are on Bitcoin. So I thought that's pretty fascinating. So nothing really new to add there. Still have the same things with the volume, still have same things with the volume profile. So I'm going to leave that one real quick. The biggest difference here that we have is with Solana. It's just a bit of a different formation, and same exact things with the volume and levels and all of that. The interesting thing is that you can see that price action is staying within this pattern that I drew. And basically I'm highlighting this just because of all 3 assets. It does seem to me be a bit of a weaker one. So of all of them, I would not be surprised if Solana eventually comes back to test the lows. And if it does create a lower low, I do have faith in this lower trend line that it will stop price at around that range. So I just wanted to throw that up there to just prepare you guys that this is something that I'm thinking about. This is something that I'm seeing. Also, you can see that price is below all of the moving averages. There's not quite as much support in terms of levels underneath where price is now. So for any Solana maxis out there like myself represent, this is just kind of what I'm looking at here. But I want to quickly move on because I know I mentioned a couple seconds ago how excited I am, but we have Cersei here with us. And for anyone who doesn't know, Cersei, just the content she puts out there onto Twitter is some of the most profound, thought-provoking content that really challenges you to think about, the way you view so many different topics. And I honestly, I did not expect you to show up with us today, Cersei. And I just want to thank you so much for jumping up here, for being with us, and for adding your contribution to today's space just in advance. So yeah, I'm a little bit dumbfounded right now. I'm really happy that you're here with us.
Thank you so much for that intro. Yeah, that is so nice. I'm absolutely flattered.
Oh my goodness. Well, the flattery runs both ways, let me tell you. All right, my friends, let's get started. This is great. I'm feeling energized. I'm feeling motivated. I'm ready to tackle this topic. And I'm going to start off with that by saying I'm a little nervous about today. I'm not going to lie. Like everyone else up here, the reason you're all here is because I know you are comfortable being vulnerable. And that's a big part about today. We're about to show you guys a piece of our souls, and we're doing this because we want to share this part of us. We want to share these experiences with you so that we can try and pull out some value, pull out some learning points. And mostly we want to be able to share with you that you're not alone. We're all here together. We all struggle. We're all humans. And in my humble opinion, and I know many of you have the same opinion, there's no better way than to do that together. So let's get started. The question I want to throw out to everyone here is, tell me a little bit about how in the past you've struggled with mental health. Again, with being sensitive to triggers, with being sensitive to maintaining the privacy to the level that you feel comfortable with. And I just want to open the floor to everyone to share a little bit about their own personal experiences. And then also just to challenge everyone to think while we're having this conversation. I want you to keep in mind the theme balance. And the reason I say this is because we'll get to it in a little bit here, but I personally believe that mental health struggles occurs when balance is out of proportion, if that makes any sense. So I just want you to keep that in mind as we're all talking here, and eventually we'll get into truly how important this is. So if anyone wants to jump up first and get going, you're more than welcome. If you guys want me to get the ball rolling as well, I am more than happy to do this. If I don't see any hands in the next maybe 30 seconds, I'll just jump in. But just know that the invitation is open. And if you want to jump in, the floor is yours here. So I'll give it a couple of seconds, and I'm just going to drink some water here.
I see that Abbas is there. How you doing, Abbas?
I am doing great. How are you guys doing?
So good, man. So good. I'm so happy that you're here with us.
I am so happy as well, man. Thank you so much. First of all, I'm so sorry for missing out the intro, but just was going up the lift, so I didn't want to cut off in the middle. I'm good to go now. So, secondly, thank you so much, Trav and Quantic, for always hosting amazing spaces. They're always so valuable and full of information. It's always great to listen and trust. So, thank you for that, and again, thank you for inviting us, because connecting people is pretty much what Web3 is about. So, thank you for doing it for us.
Hey, man, absolute pleasure here. Honestly, like I was saying, or maybe if you missed it earlier, when I was opening the space, I mentioned how when Quantic and I decided on holding the space about this topic, you and Chunky were the very first two people to come to my mind, of people who I want up here with me. And that's because I know how awesome you are. I know how compassionate and empathetic you are. And trust me when I say it is an absolute pleasure to have you guys here with us today. So yeah, I want to send you the mic in a second here. Before I do, though, I do see Hipster's hand up. So Hipster, I want to give you the mic real quick here. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you.
Hey, first of all, thank you for having me. I miss you guys. My name is Hipster Roboto, for anybody that do not know me. And just to keep it short, thank you so much for talking about mental health in this space in Web3, especially after being like we say in Web3, like when you used to work in Web2 and stuff, feel as a creative, as a professional, that you think that you need to forget about your mental health and struggle and hustle and work 24/7 and try to be the best and being racing to finally get like a project on a better place, no matter the industry. You tend to think that if you take a day off, or you feel like, oh, today I feel depressed, I don't feel as creative, there's I'm the problem here. You get to start getting into your head and forget about taking care of your mental health. And I love that we're talking about this, because I have so many friends that they do not feel comfortable yet expressing the struggles. So I feel that one thing that I can say is that if you take care of your mental health, your creativity is going to be 10 times better. And trust me, you don't want to feel burned out, because to be perfectly transparent, if it wasn't for Web3, and I swear this is not like a Oscar nomination as acceptance speech, but to be truly honest, if it wasn't for Web3, I would have quit like being digital designer, or like trying to be creative, because my mental health suffered so much in the past few years, like much of people with COVID and personal stuff. So this is like just being able to talk about this with all my friends and people here that share the same interest in NFT, Web3, and mental health now. It's like a dream come true. So Trav, Quantic, it's a great seeing so many friends here, Shanky, Siri, I mean, everybody. I'm not gonna name everybody, but I love you all, and thank you for having me once again.
Awesome, brother. I love you too, man. This is amazing. I appreciate everything you're saying, and you bring up a really important point there. And that's the point that one of the reasons Quantic and I are doing this is because we just want to foster the idea that it is okay to talk about this, and talking about things like mental health and things you struggle with is not a sign of weakness. Honestly, in my opinion, and in my opinion of the opinion of a lot of the people I admire in this world, it's actually a sign of strength. So I want to thank you for bringing that up and highlighting that. That's really, really important, and one of the main reasons why we're here today. So really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for being here. Honor, honestly, to be in your presence yet again. Perfect. So Abbas, I want to send you the mic. Let's dig into this, my friend. Yeah, the mic is yours.
Yes, sir. So once again, I heard everything at the start as well. And shout out to Chunky and Cersei and everyone down there who's like always engaging with me and interacting with me. You guys are amazing. So thank you so much, Mosso. Vlad. Everyone down there is just amazing. So yeah, honestly, this is something that I would love to talk about because where I come from, it's still like a taboo to pretty much talk about your mental health. So people like if you talk about being depressed, or if you talk about just feeling anxiety or stuff like that, it's kind of frowned upon in a sense where I come from, and they just tell you to man up. That's pretty much what they tell you. Just man up, deal with. And again, for some people it works, of course. There are all types of people, but in today's world where everything is so much more like everyone is so more in sync with nature, in sync with people itself, it changes things. So you have to treat things differently according to the times. That's how I feel. But yeah, honestly, this is something that I would love to talk about.
Amazing, man. Where to start here, Abbas? Yeah, thank you for sharing that. First of all, I can definitely appreciate the influence that can have on a person's development, of a person's personality, of always being told to man up and to ignore your emotions. I love my family, I love my parents, but it was the exact same way. It was always, you're okay, everything's fine, everything's going to be okay, just don't worry about it. And in the long term, that really stunted my growth emotionally. And actually, I'm all about taking responsibility for my problems, but that was a huge component of why I ended up in the mess where I did here. So yeah, no, amazing point. Was there anything else that you wanted to add to that?
No, I completely agree, man. Like it literally stunts your growth. It does. Because to be honest, like I've been moving around a lot, and I've been living on my own a lot as well. So just starting to actually be in touch with reality, kind of, and just seeing how things actually are, it was a bit hard for me to adjust to it. So I completely agree where you're coming from. So I would definitely love hearing what other people have to say about it too.
Amazing, man. Yeah. I see a bunch of hands up, and I'm really excited to get to you. I did want to ask you real quick, Abbas, before I pass the mic along here, is do you have anything in mind that really helped you come to terms with this? Whether it's just realizing that this was an issue in the first place? I'm guessing what I'm trying to get at is, what brought you, was there a specific thing or several that was able to help you change your mindset from basically ignoring any emotions that you felt to then basically accepting that this isn't a healthy way to do this, and I need to do this a different way? And are there any nuggets in there that you can help share with us today?
100%, bro. Like, to be honest, it was a learning process. The first part about this was acceptance, that I do have emotions, I do feel things. Everyone feels things and everyone makes mistakes. It's just a part of life. So the first part about it was just to accept that I do feel things. And then from there onwards, it was honestly a day by day process, bro. I had to figure out what worked for me, what didn't work for me. So it was a pretty long process, but I'm sure the first thing, if you do go through things that you can't explain or can't control, the first thing is just to take a moment, take a step back, just analyze the situation where you're at. Just make sure you're in sync with what you're feeling. If you're not true to yourself, then it's not going to go anywhere. So you have to be true to yourself. That's the one point that I always tell everyone.
I love that, man. And you've really hit an important topic here. And that's the idea of, I actually learned, it's a very appropriate word for this, but it's the idea of congruence. And what I mean by that is how am I trying to say this here? Basically, it's an alignment of your actions in your daily life to your values and your morals. So if you're doing things that counter or contradict, how you truly feel in your heart, that right there is going to lead to anxiety. It's going to lead to burnout. It's going to lead to depression. It's going to lead to all of these things. So I appreciate you bringing that up and expressing how important awareness is, because in order to be able to live in a healthy way, first you have to be able to realize, what are my morals? What is important to me? And I think that's an amazing first step, and an important one that we're highlighting here right now is it all starts with awareness, and you have to be true to yourself and you have to be honest with yourself. And man, I just want to say, you have come so far. I mean, I never knew you obviously before maybe a year ago or so, but you are now one of the most genuine, grounded, and just beautiful people that I know in the space. So the work clearly pays off, and you're doing an amazing job, man. So yeah, hats off to you. You have my complete respect here.
Thank you so much, Trav. Honestly, like, you're one of the most genuine people I've met as well. Every time that we've talked, it's always been, you've always left me with a smile, man. That's all I have to say. So thank you so much for everything that you do, and once again, thank you for having me here as well.
Awesome, bro. That means a lot, man. Honestly, that's one of the main reasons why I'm here, is to do that. Yeah. So it makes me happy to know that it's coming across, man. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's get to a couple more hands here. Before I do, Quantic, I want to give you the mic here real quick. See if you have any takes you want to add to the conversation here.
Yeah, just real quick. I'm totally with Avas here when it comes to where the kind of reaction and experience. On my side, also, I come from Chile in South America, and this kind of talks, you don't encounter these kind of talks in schools, at least when I was a child, and it was really tough, and it was something that I had to learn on my own over time, and I'm still learning. So that is why I'm so very interested into this topic. And if I may add, I would like to hear then from each of you, how are you related to this topic? Because at least on my case, I learned about this a few years ago when I had a friend that had like panic attacks. And then I kind of realized, okay, this is something that, it's not physical, it's something psychological, and there are external conditions triggering these attacks. And, that's how I got like with the, more consciousness about this topic. So I would really like to hear more about our guests in that regards, and our guest speakers as well.
I love it, man. Perfect. I love it. Let's, I want to get to all of your hands. I want to get to every single one of you here. So I think the first hand I saw up was For Your Mind. So we'll start with you, then we'll go Amaya, Cersei, and then Siri in that order here. So For Your Mind, it's all yours, my friend.
Good looks. I have so many thoughts running through my mind. This is a topic near and dear to my heart that I have a lot of personal experience with. And kind of before I share something, I actually want to go back to, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Abbas. One thing you said that really resonated with me is acceptance. And Trav, you had made the point that it's about awareness as well. And my question to you is, it sounds like you both have a lot of self-awareness. I can just tell in the way that you speak about this and the journey you've been on. So I'm just curious, what practices allowed you to kind of build that self-awareness, and maybe you can kind of share how you did that so others can maybe adopt those same practices. And then I just want to share something after.
Great question, man. I think it's a very important one as well here. I'm just trying to think here. I'm trying to think of the best way to approach this. I'm kind of torn between wanting to get to everyone's hands and also being able to answer your question here. So I guess real quick, for me, the biggest takeaway for developing that awareness was just learning not to be afraid of the feelings that I'm feeling. I think that was the biggest one. And I've realized recently that people aren't afraid of the emotions. They're afraid of the physical reactions caused by the emotions. So the sooner that you can realize that all you're afraid of is just the physical sensations in your body, it's a lot easier to be attentive to that and to actually be able to face it and ask yourself those hard questions. Why am I feeling this? Challenge these sensations, challenge these feelings. And it all comes down to, in my opinion, the most important thing is having that desire. You have to want to learn about these things. And for a lot of people, it takes you getting to a really hard and dark place to be able to come to that desire. It certainly did for me. So I think that was the biggest one, is is that desire, but then also honesty. So, Abbas, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add to that.
Honestly, let's get to the hands because I have a super long, reply to that because it's pretty much what you said towards the end that I resonated with a lot. It comes from a dark place, pretty much, and it comes from a place where you have to want to know it. So I completely agree with pretty much what you said, bro.
I love it, man. I love it. Thank you for that awesome contribution here. Perfect. So there's a lot of people who want to talk, and I want to be able to provide space and time for everyone. So I'm just going to kind of refresh the floor and just mention a couple of things here. In respect of just truly wanting to hear from everyone and giving everyone the time, I'm just going to ask everyone when they do come up here to chat with us, just to try and keep it a little bit on the brief side. And now, I don't want this to interfere with the message that you're trying to say, but I do want everyone to be sensitive that there's a lot of value in here, and I do want to be able to give everyone the respect and the space that they deserve to be able to tell their stories as well. So I think we can accomplish that. I think we can make that happen, and I think we can, make this an absolutely amazing space on mental health that flows and where everyone is able to contribute here. So in saying that, free your brain or free your mind. I'm going to send you the mic back here, my friend. It's all yours.
All right, I'll just say a couple things and then I'll step down. I'll let others jump in. One thing I wanted to offer up, I was asking kind of how you built that awareness. One thing that I can offer up that's worked very well for me, that's like more from like a practicality, like what you can actually do. Meditation for me, I've been practicing for going on like 7 years now. I used to struggle with really severe panic attacks and just kind of was an emotional mess. And what really worked for me was the practice of meditation. And what it did is it really helps build what I call your awareness muscle. Just like when you go to the gym and you're working out and you're trying to, work out your physical muscles, your awareness is a muscle in and of itself. And so we were speaking about kind of acceptance. And I think the step before acceptance is first becoming aware. And so a good just kind of boots on the ground practical advice is to maybe try practicing meditation. And I know some people may think that is very challenging in the beginning. So I'm very compassionate of that because I struggle with that too. Some kind of guides that work very well for me is to do guided meditations. So like the Calm app or Headspace, they have like 10-minute guided meditations that are very great when you're first getting started. And then the other thing I'll say is once you kind of start learning the practice, meditation is a practice that I think some people only associate with like sitting down and closing your eyes and trying to think of nothing. But for me, meditation is actually, or what comes from meditation is mindfulness. And that's really a way of life. You can be mindful when you're cooking. You can be mindful going for a walk in the woods. You can be mindful in this conversation. And so what I would just encourage, if that interests you at all, I'm very passionate about meditation and I've had a pretty long history of experience with it. So if anyone has any questions after, you can definitely reach out. I'm more than happy to kind of help. And then the last thing I just want to say is we were talking earlier about, not really having an opportunity with others in our life to give us the space to kind of express ourselves. And one thing I just wanted to offer up, because I had that kind of frame of reference as well, and I held a lot of resentment towards the people that didn't really offer that to me. But recently I actually realized that I should actually have compassion for them, because when people want to talk about our emotions and we're met with kind of like, resistance, or people aren't really engaged with it, I think in reality it's just because they don't really know what tools, or they don't really know what to say. And so maybe they struggle with it as well. And when someone expresses that they're dealing with a lot of emotions, they may get a little overwhelmed by that. And so one thing I've been doing personally is just having a little more compassion towards the people that maybe don't have that skill set or that tools. And that's why I'm actually so passionate about this community and Web3, is because the people here, we all want to hear your story. We are all here to listen to you. We're all here. And I think just based on this conversation, a lot of people have the self-awareness and have gone through that process. So I just want to kind of acknowledge everyone in the space. And I just want everyone to know that you're not alone. And if you don't have anyone to talk to about this stuff, I have a lot of personal experience like that with this. So my DMs are always open and I'm here for you. I'll jump down now.
Oh, you're good, man. You're good. You don't have to jump down. You can hang out here with us. We got plenty of space if anyone else does want to jump back up here. But man, you got me right in the heart. That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. A lot of strong points here. The idea that meditation doesn't have to just be sitting down on the ground, closing your eyes. I'm very similar to you. I think I cannot meditate like that right now. It's my mind gets a little too dark. So what helps for me is going out and doing a run, going for a walk in the forest, going for a hike. I love to rock climb. That for me is a very strong and potent meditation here. So amazing point, amazing, and I love as well just what you just offered to the community, and I just want to quickly highlight that as well. That a very important point here, and I think it's a great opportunity to quickly just touch on this, is that it is so important to reach out if you are feeling like you're drowning. And like your Free Your Mind said, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but my DMs are always open. Please feel free to reach out and just talk about it. Just let someone know that you're not doing okay. Sometimes that's all you need to do to start a conversation. And it is, I can't even overstate how important that is and how helpful that is. So just I want to reiterate that amazing point that you just brought up for your mind and on how important that is. So thank you, man. Thank you so much. Perfect. Okay, we're going to move on with hands here. Before I do, I want to give our co-host here, Quantic, and then our guests, Chunky and Abbas, to basically just jump in if there was any burning points you wanted to add to this. So if any one of you guys wants to jump in here real quick, the mic is yours, and then I'll go to Amaya.
Yeah, I think we should let our guest to speak. I mean, there are so many great points in all of the conversations, and I would really like to, talk more about this, but I think that, we have our guests here and we have a lot of people that want to participate and contribute, so I really wish to listen to them.
Perfect. Let's do just that. And I think that's an amazing thing that we're creating here in this space, is just an open invitation for people to come and just share. So let's do it. Amaya, the floor is yours, my friend. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. Yeah, super happy to be sharing the room with all of you. There's a lot of people that I have connected here in the past with, and I'm still, connecting. So I'm super happy for that. And I just wanted to share on my personal experience about mental health. It like the term itself, I never heard of it, before, like Web3, let's say. But I did realize that it was something important when a little before the pandemic started. I just started trying to grow on the financial side aspect when I was like studying for doing day trading in the stock market. I just got super focused on that for a few years, and I was going super hard. And I just started feeling the need to, I needed to connect and interact with people because I was just by myself doing this. I was seeing, close to my family and stuff, but yeah, it's something that it just was on my mind a lot, that I needed to connect and interact with people. And it happened again, like when the pandemic started and when, all the Web3 started. I was just super focused on the financial side of it. So just, for everyone to be aware, there's personal growth. There's different areas of it, like, mental growth, social growth. And it's good to, like you guys mentioned this before, it's good to have a balance. So I just wanted to, put that there. And yeah, this Web3, it's something that the thing that I love the most is how you can connect with so many awesome people like you guys. So yeah, I'm super happy to be here, that you guys are doing this type of spaces. And it's something that I'm trying to do as well. Just be able to connect with people. I actually have a call here with Siri, that it's here up on stage later today. We're just going to be, getting to know each other a little more. And yeah, if anyone wants to talk or get to know a little more, feel free to reach out. And yeah, let's keep growing, sharing, and learning from each other.
Maya, my friend, thank you, man. You brought up some amazing points. First things first here, credit where credit's due. Maya also puts on spaces and is a huge advocate for mental health, talking about, the day-to-day struggles, mental health, that you need to keep in mind when you're in the pursuit of accomplishing your goals. So I just want to give you a shout out here as well for being such an amazing presence in the space about that. And then also for just being here with us and sharing your story, man. That takes a lot of courage, and I want to commend you, and I want to commend everyone else who's open to doing that with us today. You bring up a very important point, and I think it's one that many of us can relate to. It's the emotions and the turmoil that's involved with trading, in particular day trading. You can feel your highest highs and your absolute lowest lows. And the one thing that blew my mind is the amount of growth that and self-awareness that you need to do. You need to, take that journey if you do want to become a successful trader. If you don't pay attention to what's going on in your mind, the market will eat you up. It is designed to do that. So bringing that awareness to the space is so important. How you really need to pay attention to your emotions when you're trading, and to not allow them to dictate your behavior, but then also to acknowledge them in the sense that these are real emotions that you're feeling and you have to address them. You know what I mean? Trading psychology is, I would say, 80% of the challenge of becoming a trader. The technicals are easy. It just takes a little bit of time. The emotions, you can never, ever get rid of those. I know traders who have been career trading for 10 plus years, 20 plus years, and they still feel the pull of greed and fear. So I'm really happy that you brought that up, because that's definitely one in the Web3 space that is extremely important and can make or break a person if you're not paying attention to it. So thank you so much, man. That's huge. All right. I'll give you the mic back if you wanted to respond to that. If you wanted to add any kind of final thoughts. If not, I'll move along. But Maya, the opportunity is yours if you wanted to respond.
Yeah, thank you. No, real quick. Another point you guys mentioned is just like self-awareness, and it's something that I've been trying to do more, just to know myself, like just to know what I need and like what makes me happy, and that's something that I'm actually going to be doing now. I'll be quitting my job and I'm going to start traveling, and just I actually want to go meet with people here from Web3. Sounds pretty crazy, but I think it will be something really cool to do. So I actually have a tweet pin on my profile. So if you guys want to share your city where you at, I want to just start like backpacking and traveling the world and meeting people. So if you guys like to share it, that's something that makes me very happy. Just traveling and connecting with people. It's something that I value a lot. So just wanted to share that.
Maya, pin her up top here, man. Get her on the what is it that people call the place where you could pin tweets? There's a name for it, and it's awesome, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. But the jumbotron, there it is, the jumbotron. Pin it up. Let's get it up there, man. It's all about connections. It's all about making that happen. I've heard of people doing that, and that is something that is on my list to do as well. So it does not sound crazy. That sounds awesome. And man, yeah, keep us posted on your journey. That sounds amazing. All right, so I want to move to Cersei now. Before I do, I wanted to read a quick comment here. We have Spranko Trees, who's in the audience with us. They're having some issues right now with Twitter, as per tradition here. But I quickly just wanted to share the comment that they left here with us, and it's as follows here. So I would love to speak, but Twitter is rugging me, so I'll just share some thoughts here. For self-awareness, we must understand that our emotions are valid. It's okay to feel how you feel. What matters is being honest about wanting or not wanting to dwell in that emotion. That hit me right in the heart. I think that's in order to create acceptance, that ability to just be okay and love and accept who you are and what you are feeling and know that it's okay is. I'm just trying to think here. A great way to illustrate this, I think, is I remember my first therapy session I ever went to. I think I was 18, 19 years old. I had just gone through something pretty traumatic with my family, and I was struggling, and I had no idea what the heck it was happening because I had zero awareness of any of these things. And I remember when my therapist came to me and she said, Travis, you try so hard. I want you to know that you're amazing and that everything that you're feeling is okay. And I want you to be kind to yourself. And hearing that and actually saying that out loud made me burst into tears. And it was one of the most cathartic moments I have felt that will stick with me for the rest of my life. And still to this day, when I actually do take a moment, look myself in the mirror and tell myself, I love you, that, you're doing your best and you're okay and you're worth it. I still get tears in my eyes. Honestly, I'm feeling that right now. Like it's a very, very powerful thing to just be able to look at yourself and tell yourself that you love yourself and that you're doing amazing. So yeah, Spranko, thank you so much for sharing that. Very, very powerful and an amazing contribution to our space today. But here we are, Cersei. Let's get into it. Thank you and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And the mic is yours. Let's have a chat.
Thank you so much, Trav and Contact, for holding this space for all of us to share this opinion. I really loved our conversation so far. So I think I just want to start off by adding on to a point that a lot of you guys have mentioned about awareness and acceptance. And I think something that's very important is also the lens that we view this acceptance, because like for some background, I was diagnosed with clinical depression. So for all along, I kind of see it as a problem. So what I would say is like, rather than saying it's a problem, kind of just accept it as it is. Like it is, because if you see something as a problem, you kind of fight it, and then you kind of like, because you're the one who is exposed to the ugliest parts of yourself, and you start like giving yourself so much shit, and yeah, like we don't see how badly we treat ourselves as compared to how we treat our friends. So like, to reiterate what Trav said, we really gotta be gentle on ourselves. The moment you stop seeing it as a problem is kind of when you start accepting it for what it really is. Because sometimes I do see that my emotional side and my logical side are often in conflict, and usually our logical side will be like, yeah, why are we so emotional, why are they giving us so much problems? But at the end of the day, what I feel is just see your emotional side and your logical side as part of your counsel in your head. Like, just think of that both your emotions and your logic wants to protect you, but you as a person can decide what you want to know and what you want to achieve from each of the emotions and the logical side, and find the best solution that works for yourself. And yeah, also I think someone brought up loving yourself just now, and I kind of find a way to help with that. Like, I'm not sure if it helps anyone else, but I kind of think of myself as like, I see the children Cersei. Like I see myself as a child, and I'm like, I would not be so mean to this child as compared to this adult Cersei. I would actually protect them, and then like, if people are mean to them, I would make sure she sets proper boundaries to protect herself, or like to make she uphold her boundaries, that she fight for what she stands for, and I would do all this stuff for her. But somehow I'm not doing that for the adult me. So that is like something I realized to myself, and how I started protecting myself better. Sorry for like rambling, but let me just mention like one last point about this whole mental health journey, is that it is a constant navigation. It's not like, oh, we are happy now, the end, we have passed the test, but it's more of like a constant journey of like, all right, like, just because I'm good now does not mean I will fall back in the future. And I guess we give, like I said just now, we give ourselves too much shit when we fall back, and people are always like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But then what they don't mention is that the climb up is very difficult when you're at the bottom. So and like how we let me use like an analogy, an illustration, like the staircase. When you're at the bottom of the staircase, it's often hard to see what's at the top. So what I always tell myself is just do the next step. Whatever it is, just put all your focus on what's in front of you and do the next step that feels right. And then like, even if you can't see, because sometimes we get so stressed about what's 10 steps ahead that we can't focus on what's one step ahead. Like, we get so anxious, we're so depressed, we can't move, we can't like get ourselves to do anything because we don't know, we can't see what's like all the way in front, or like we scared we'll fail in the future. But if you find yourself in that headspace, I would advise you to just look at the next step. Like, what do I have to do now to help myself? And sometimes what do I have to do now is just to do nothing and just like take care of myself. But sometimes just doing the next thing, like, all right, let's go to the gym. Let me check my emails. Just give yourself very, very minute tasks, and as you go on through that, you will start like being able to cope. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Cersei, that was amazing. I'm taking notes here of different points that you brought up that I want to quickly touch
That's
on.
so sweet.
And
Thank you.
my paper's full. There's so much value in there to dig into. And I just want to say, first of all, thank you for sharing your own story and your own struggle and being vulnerable with us today. Depression is not easy, and I'm also diagnosed with that, so I can relate. And it's it is a battle. And to kind of first touch on the concept of the one that you brought up that I think is really, really important here is that every reaction that your body creates, whether it's anxiety, whether it is depression, there is scientific and psychological support to show that every single one of these reactions is not done to sabotage you. It's done to help you. That includes anxiety. Anxiety stems from the fight or flight reaction, and that is rooted in self-preservation. So just being able to have that awareness and know that your body's not trying to work against you, it's actually trying to save your ass and pull you out of dangerous situations, I think just creates much more of a loving and understanding and relationship that you have with your own body. So I'm really, really happy that you brought that up. And that's definitely one that I still very much struggle with on a daily basis. I get very critical. If I'm just having a bad day and then like, oh crap, why am I feeling so shitty? I thought I was doing so well a couple of days ago. Like, this sucks. Like, I'm never gonna get out of this. I'm never gonna, be better. But that's also not realistic, And the other point that you mentioned about this being a journey with no real destination, that's something that we have to come to terms with. I also don't want people to get confused and think that we'll never be at a place of happiness. That's also not accurate. The idea is to embrace this as a journey that will have ups and downs, but the general trajectory, if you put the work in, is upwards. So yeah, I think that's also just super important here. The last thing I want to touch on here that I think is extremely helpful and an amazing takeaway that I'm certainly going to keep in mind here is the idea of seeing yourself as a child. And there's a lot of merit, there's a lot of science as well that helps support that, is the work that you need to do to help give your inner child love. And we can get really, really deep into this, but the idea of, being triggered, of being reactive, of having, emotional responses, so much of that is linked to early childhood experiences of things that we dealt with as a child that our body has stored. And there are a lot of different theories and a lot of different treatments that are based on, treating your inner child essentially. But I think the most important takeaway from that is just to be sensitive to the idea that there is a version of you, there is a part of your mind that is still that child who just wants to be loved. It wants to be appreciated. It wants to be heard. These are all very, very important things that we need to keep in mind. And I think, and if anyone else, has another perspective, please let me know. It's all about having awareness of that inner child and then giving that inner child the love and attention that it needs. So amazing point, Cersei. Thank you so much. Like, heartfelt appreciation for you being here, for you sharing your story. I want to give you the mic back to respond, and then we'll carry on the conversation. So Cersei, it's all yours.
I appreciate that. So like I think to just end like what I have to say, because the first thing you mentioned was like, thank you for being vulnerable, and I guess I just want to remind everyone that it's very difficult to be vulnerable in a world that makes us hard, in a sense, like we want to protect ourselves, but just know that you being vulnerable empowers others around you to be vulnerable as well, because sometimes you're saying something and people will be like, oh, I wish that's what I wanted to say, but I don't dare to say that because I scared people would judge me. So that's kind of like what helps me be vulnerable, because I know that I would want to see someone do that, and so I'm like, why not me? Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Amazing point, Cersei. Amazing point. And just to kind of reinforce that with everyone here, this is a safe space. If anyone, I'm feeling a little defensive for all of you right now. I just want you to know that if anyone does try and come in here, try to come into your space and tries to ridicule you or make you feel shame for being vulnerable, please come to me. I'm going to have a chat with this person and we're going to set them straight. And I know, Siri, I know you're going to have my back as well, because I've seen you do it. I've seen you stand up for people who are just trying to be human out there and who are facing backlash just for trying to be open. And I'm personally not going to stand for that. So, Cersei, you're always welcome here. You're always welcome to share your story, to be yourself. And that goes to all of you guys. So thank you once again for sharing, for being you, for being awesome. Much love, Quantic. I saw your mic was hot there for a second, so I want to send it to you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Just real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to Cersei for sharing all of this and for showing vulnerability as well, like you mentioned. And I just wanted to make like a real quick question regarding like the main tools that you use to keep your mind held, to keep you focused, to keep you energized, to keep you, sane. So yeah, if you could tell us about how do you do that? How do you personally deal with that?
Right. I think at the start I used to meditate, but because for me, something I find very important is experimentation, because what works for me might not work for everyone else. So personally, as long as I'm able to get into flow state, as long as I'm able to be fully present in the moment, then that helps me like clear my mind. So sometimes that's reading, sometimes that's exercising, and I'm just like flexible to what I need at the moment. So yeah, that's how I help myself.
Amazing. So it shows like one of the stronger points there is like just trying to connect with your emotions, right?
Yeah, for sure. And like just be as present in the moment as possible. Like if I'm reading, I just want to focus on reading. If I'm doing this space, I'm listening to you guys, not like thinking about something that I have to worry about tomorrow or like all that stuff. So like yeah, just be where you are, because it's just the now is all that matters sometimes.
Just to add one short thing, I think the other important piece to this is having compassion for yourself. If you're new on this journey of trying to, build that self-awareness and that self-love and trying to go through that acceptance process, just know that it's a scale and it's transitory. One of the quotes that I love is "Nothing lasts, all flows." And so your happiness, that doesn't last. Your depression, that doesn't last. All your emotions are transitory. And so I actually think that that actually gets me excited. And so it's just good to recognize that you need compassion for yourself. And it's a process that you're going to go on every single day, no matter how much experience or how long you've been doing it. So just have a little bit of self-love.
Awesome point, man. Awesome point. And there's actually some science behind that. So like I was saying, every emotion is a physical reaction in your body that happens. It's a cascade of hormones, predominantly things like cortisol, adrenaline, all of these things. The worst part of that lasts for only 90 seconds. So if you can give yourself a moment, sit with what it is that you're feeling, and last 90 seconds, it will start subsiding. And then you'll find that you're in a much better place to see the situation from a much more clear perspective. So I try and live by that. It's something actually I learned recently, or maybe not learned, but came to the realization of how helpful that point is recently. And that if you can just sit with your emotion without trying to make judgments in that state or make decisions in that state, things will start to get better in about 90 seconds. Then you'll be able to function from much better perspective, if that makes any sense. So, man, thank you again for your awesome input. Siri, the time is now. Let's hear from you, my man. Also, NFT Unicorn, I appreciate that you're up here. But Siri, you're here. So.
Yeah, just I'll be very brief, guys. I just think that this is a very important topic and a very important space to have these discussions where we can all be kind of vulnerable. But I also think that there's another aspect to this, right? And somebody who tweets a lot about growth and tweets a lot about trying to get out of your comfort zone. I think sometimes we can disguise or mental illness or even just being out of your comfort zone and being uncomfortable can be disguised as mental illness, right? So I think there is a usefulness, and certainly for me, the best coaches, the best teachers I had as a child were the ones who told me to suck it up, right? And so I really struggle here, and this is me being vulnerable to say that I struggle between, hey man, we all got to be compassionate and understand that everybody's going through stuff, but then at the same time, like, when is it appropriate to suck it up? When is it appropriate to just say, fuck it, I got to go? You know, it doesn't matter how I'm feeling right now, I got to get shit done. So I think there's a fine balance there, and I don't want us to tiptoe around the fact that sometimes it is appropriate to suck it up. So anyway, I'll get off the stage, but just wanted to make sure that, you know, we're having a balanced conversation here.
Absolutely, man. No, feel free to stay up here. There's no pressure with you having to step down, man. We're good. We're good. And that's a really important topic. And it's not a take that you hear often, but I agree with you. There is a point where you kind of just need to just bite the bullet and do what you have to do. And I think that's a tough one. It's going to be very subjective, and it's going to be very different for each person. But I think it all comes down to, you know, having that honest perspective with yourself, being able to evaluate, you know, what it is that you're feeling, and most importantly, the impact that it is currently having in that moment on where you're at. And then also in the long run, you know, like I think one thing that you actually said that really stuck out to me is the cost benefit analysis. And I know that sounds very technical and very dry, but I think it is something that you do have to take into consideration of analyze the missed opportunity versus the opportunity itself. And yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think here. There was one other point that I wanted to make when it comes to this. It's left my mind, but regardless, I'm really happy that you're bringing this up. And hopefully we can get some more solid perspectives about this, because I think that is important. And, you know, thinking back in my life, there have been times where I've decided to just push forward and do something anyways, and it made everything better. I left that activity. I think one of them for sure was the first time I wanted to rock climb something that was, I think, more than 200 meters tall. I was scared freaking shitless. I was like having physical symptoms. My heart rate was through the roof. My blood pressure was through the roof, but I stuck with it, and I literally pushed through, and I got to the top, and it made me a better person. So that's a very, very practical black and white example, but I think it's one that kind of illuminates your point here. Sir, your hand's back up. So I want to send the mic back to you, man.
Yeah, just quickly, you know, it gets back to that point you made earlier, that Sprenko made earlier, that you read, right? It's okay to feel how you're feeling, but, you know, we've got to make a decision. Do we want to dwell in this place, or do we want to move forward, right? And whatever that move forward for you is, for me, sometimes it's suck it up. For me, sometimes it's get in the gym. For me, sometimes it's have a cry, but you've got to figure out what that path is forward for you. And I think it's really important. Sprenko's point is extremely important. You get to decide whether you get to dwell in that emotion, or you get to move forward and figure out what moves you forward. So appreciate the space, guys. I'll step down.
Amazing point, man. Amazing point. And actually one that really hits home. In my struggles with PTSD and depression, there was a phase there when I I think it was my wife who mentioned to me, she basically in a very loving way called me out. She's like, you know, you've kind of just been sitting here in limbo, just kind of sitting in your struggles. And, you know, I think it's about time you try and get up and do something. And I think what it took for me to come to that realization, and I want to share this because it's, you know, maybe this could be an important step in keeping that in mind for anyone who's struggling with the same thing, is I had to be very, very brutally honest with myself. And in that moment, I was feeling sorry for myself, and I was kind of allowing myself to just be there and sit in the darkness, in the sadness. And I realized that I was letting outside circumstances hold me down. And I think there's a lot of honesty that goes into that. You know, you have to be able to check your ego, none of which are easy things to do. When you're in a dark place, man, everything sucks. You have zero energy. Like these are not easy steps to take. But you know, there comes a point where you just have to have that desire to fight for yourself. So Siri, amazing perspective, man. Thank you. I'm grateful that you brought this up with us today, and please stick around. You don't have to leave. If anything else comes up, definitely add your take here. Amazing. Awesome. So we've got a full stage and this is wonderful. So Quantic, I want to give you the mic. Next hand up was Chunky. So if Quantic, if you had anything you wanted to contribute to the conversation, I want to give you the mic here real quick and then we'll move to Chunky.
Yes, thanks. So real quick, I just wanted to highlight the importance of what we're doing here in this space right now. Today, I went to a business meeting with a lot of entrepreneurs, but these are like old people with very well established business and kind of wealthy. And I was invited. I don't know why, but anyway, and they were doing like a coaching session, and everything was about soft skills and about mindfulness and about the power of that on business. So if you guys think like this kind of subject of, okay, mental health is just for these Web3 people that are sorry about themselves or whatever, with that kind of judgment, please be aware that this is something that is such a relevant topic because it determines your mindset and with that your performance on every aspect of your life. So I just wanted to highlight that this is a really important thing to do, and I really appreciate all of you sharing today your perspective and your vulnerabilities.
Great take, man. And a really important one that we bring up here today is this is an all-encompassing topic. We're all humans, and no matter what our goals are, no matter what our journey is, this will directly affect, this is in a sense our reality that we see from a day to day and the lens that we see it through. So amazing point there, Quantic, on how it's not just us here in Web3. Absolutely not. This applies to people in all walks of life, and it's just going to affect everyone a little bit differently, because we're all different here. Perfect. So Chunky, I see your hand up. I do have a couple more requests of people, but we do have a full stage. So if there's anyone out here who is okay to step down, if you said your piece and if you're feeling comfortable with stepping down now, by all means, if you can do that, that'd be great. Otherwise, I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to do that, and otherwise, I'll maybe start knocking some people down here. But that's already happening here. So I just want to appreciate you guys and for taking that step. But either way, let's keep this going here. Chunky, your hand is up, so let's send the mic your way, my friend.
All right, awesome, thank you. I just want to start off by giving a shout out to everybody who spoke before me. It's not easy to share your story, so thank you guys so much for sharing it. And I guess I kind of want to start off by talking about like my challenges that I faced. Basically, I had a moment in life where like I wasn't sure where I wanted to go. I had like no goals at all, and it was during COVID time too. So like I was like very isolated from everybody else. So like that kind of just amplifies the depression a little bit. And like I'm mostly someone who's like stressed and like low self-esteem, not quite sure what to do. I kind of just want to like basically show everyone how like I got over those kind of challenges. I find a lot of comfort in reading books. So like reading books, like self-help books, really helped me give me perspective on like this situation I'm facing. It allows me to understand like how other people overcome these challenges as well. So I came up with a list of like the top 3 books that actually helped me overcome situations. And I just want to mention real quick, Trav, I'm not quite sure if you noticed, but your mic is unmuted.
Oh, sorry, man. You broke up there. What was that last thing that you said?
I said I'm not quite sure, but your mic is unmuted.
Oh, crap.
We hear some background noise.
Thanks, bro. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, send it right back.
No worries. So the 3 books. Basically, the first book I read is called "Stop Doing That Shit" by Gary John Bishop. This book is very how should I say this? Vulgar in a way, like he's using like very strong languages, and it's almost like it's like a coach that's like yelling at you. But it actually does help. I really like the message that he's sending. He's basically telling us to stop self-sabotaging ourselves and stop with like those negative self-talks. So like a lot of times, like we have like those thoughts in our heads, like I can't do this, I am useless, I have no meaning to my life. But like those are all just self-talks in your head. And the guy, like Gary, really just made me realize like I could take control of my life. Like there is like the stuff that's happening to me, like nothing happened yet. It's just all in my mind, and there are ways to overcome these situations. So this book is like, I repeat it again, it's called "Stop Doing That Shit" by Gary John Bishop. It's like the very first self-help book that I read, and it stuck to me a lot. And another book I read is called "The Obstacle Is the Way" by Ryan Holiday. And this is a book that I absolutely recommend to anyone who is facing like very, very difficult challenges. This book helped me put into perspective about my situations. Like a lot of times I face some struggles and I think a certain event will happen, but end up not happening. Or I am facing a situation and I just don't know what to do about it. And so Ryan basically highlights like some of the worst situations that could happen. For example, imprisonment and all the stuff like that. And he mentioned how the people in those stories overcome those kind of challenges just by basically remaining themselves, keeping the mind strong. Because like I mean, the people he mentioned in the stories are more people who are like innocent. So keeping the mind strong, not letting like all those challenges destroy you, basically. And yeah, like this is a book that like helped me go through challenges of assuming that I kind of have nowhere to go for my life. So yeah, and basically the big takeaway I got from this book is to not assume anything. And so like when challenges show up, you have to deal with it. But you don't assume that the challenge is going to show up either. So for example, if you think you screw up something and you think XYZ event is going to happen, like those events are not happening yet. And they're like, and most likely they're not going to happen either. So like basically not assume anything, which is one of the highlights of this book. And another one I really recommend to not just people who are facing difficult challenges, but also just entrepreneurs and people who want to communicate with people better, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And this book is really great in the way to learn how to interact with people. But most importantly, when it comes to mental health, just not caring about certain things. So there are a lot of people who are out there who probably say negative things towards you. Like sometimes it's just better to let those kind of messages go. Like don't care about it. Focus on like the people who are actually positive in your life. And it actually helps me to interact better with people as well. It helped me to drop my ego as well. So you'll find that when you drop your ego a lot, you show more vulnerability, you're more open to talk to people. And yeah, so that's basically a wrap of the 3 books that I highly recommend to people. And again, like the overall message that stuck to me with these 3 books is to just never assume anything and deal with challenges only when they come.
My man. First of all, thank you. Wow. Yeah, I'm so excited to get into all this stuff that you're talking about right here. First of all, do you have that in a tweet somewhere? Could you put it in a tweet? I want that up on the Jumbotron ASAP, because those books, I've read 2 of the 3 of them, and they're absolutely incredible. And I think that's an important point in the journey, is gaining that awareness, gaining that knowledge, reading self-help books, listening to podcasts, listening to learning from professionals, people who've been through that, is tremendously valuable. Just learning about how people have, made it through their own journey, and learning from their experiences. There's so much value to that. Honestly, I've probably gained just as much value from from hearing other stories than I have, in my own therapy. So amazing. Couple of huge points in there. And I want to get to them one by one here, and I'll get to them really quick because I want to hear from all of you guys. The first one is the effects of the pandemic. We are social creatures. Being in isolation like that, being separated from our careers, our jobs, that hits us from a bunch of different angles. That isolation can have a profound effect. And I'm not sure if anyone else out there is like me, but one of my coping mechanisms when I'm having a hard time is I want to isolate. Now, there's a time and a place for it. I think, it's healthy to a certain point, but I just want to iterate how important it is to, make sure that you have that balance of actually connecting with people, gaining that energy from people, leaning on people. It can't be understated. And that was really highlighted during the pandemic, during that forced isolation. And it was tough. It broke a lot of people down, and a lot of people had their darkest moments in their lives because of it. And some people are going to be affected by that more than others. Being an introvert, I love the isolation, so I actually did pretty well. But a lot of people they get their energy from being around people. So that's really important to highlight. Whether you're introvert or extrovert, everybody needs connection. There's again so much science to prove that, and will also show the negative effects of being in constant isolation. So really, really important. Second thing, the book Obstacle is the Way. My man, like Ryan Holiday, also changed my life. My biggest takeaway from that is viewing obstacles as opportunities. In that we've all heard many times on CT, especially, how you learn the most from our failures. I like to push that a little bit and look at obstacles as an opportunity to learn more about yourself, and try to avoid the idea of failure. I think that is a negative framing to put on an experience where you don't kind of achieve what you want to. I think there's from going through an experience like that, there's so much to take away, and it will develop you as a person. So awesome point. Also, you spoke about kind of the idea of catastrophizing, of thinking the worst case, and living in that fear will profoundly limit your life experiences, and making decisions based on fear will limit you as well. So definitely it's important to have that awareness as well. And if you can honestly look at yourself and realize that, the reason you're not going out and trying something is because you're afraid, it's kind of back to what Siri was talking about. Look into that, dig into that, be honest with yourself. Let's be realistic here. Have those conversations either with yourself or with someone else. And I think you'd be surprised that more often than not, if you get rid of the fear, there's nothing stopping you from accomplishing your goals. And the last thing that I want to touch on that you brought up that is awesome is freeing yourself of giving a crap of what others think of you. I remember there was a very, very, very vivid moment in my life where I realized I cared so much about what people thought of me. And then one day, I don't know what it was. I think I was working in the trauma bay, and I'd realized that, it was a crazy busy shift. There were a ton of really sick people that were in there. We were literally running off our ass. I took a step back in that moment, in the chaos with all of this shit going down. And I realized that I'd basically told about 8 people to fuck off. And it did not enter my mind once how they may have reacted to that. And that realization was so empowering. Just letting go of what you think other people might think of you, it will take weight off your shoulders. So I encourage all of you to kind of look into yourself and maybe take that journey of evaluating how much does this hold you back? How much do you allow others' judgments to influence your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors? And maybe go on that journey of trying to free yourself of that, because more often than not, you have no idea what they're thinking of you. And everything that you're doing is your own emotions and feelings about yourself reflected back at you. And I just think there's a tremendous opportunity there for growth as well. So Chunky, my man, thank you. You've added so much to this conversation. I want to give you the mic back to respond. And then we're going to move to NFT Unicorn, who I'm very excited to have a chat with here. So Chunky, the floor is yours again.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing all the adding on to like what I said. I don't have much else to add. I'm just curious, like, what's the book? What's the book that you have not read out of the list?
It was the first one. I don't remember what it was called. I was going to write it down, but it left my brain. Pardon me?
Not me.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the first one. I don't remember what it was here.
All right. Yeah, it's called "Stop Doing That Shit" by Gary John Bishop. Yeah. It's actually a second book of his series. His first book is called "Unfuck Yourself."
Can I start, please?
But, who's?
Hold on. Who's talking here? That's we. I'll if your hand is up, I'll get to you eventually, but I'll ask that you don't interrupt others when they're chatting. If just I'll give you. I want to kind of be firm about this. It's very important to me that we respect the space and the time of the person who's speaking. So I will give you I'll give you a warning and I'll do respect. But if it's something that keeps going, then I will boot you off the stage here. So I'm saying this out of love. I want everyone to feel comfortable and to know that you're up here and you have the time and space and all of our attention. So moving forward, this is just how it's got to be here. So Chunky, I want to give you the mic back.
Yeah. So what was I saying? So I was saying, like, basically the book is called "Stop Doing That Shit" by Gary John Bishop, and that's actually the second book of his series. He has another book before that called "Unfuck Yourself." This is actually a very good one too. It got like a lot of attention, and which is what inspired him to make the second book. But I kind of feel like I got more value out of the book that I read, the "Stop Doing That Shit" one, because it's the very first one I read out of him. I didn't know he had the other book until then, but yeah. So that's basically it when it comes to book. And just to add on a little bit more, it's just important to just always invest into like mental health and taking care of it, because I had a time basically where I stopped investing into my mental health, and I thought I had everything figured out. Basically, I'm like, all right, look, I'm fine, nothing's wrong, and it kind of just decays a little bit slowly but surely, and eventually it just jumps back down into like a very deep hole. So just make sure that you always invest in yourself. Reread some books that actually help you as well. Yeah, that's basically it.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, man. Yeah, amazing. That's a really important too. One that also I'm familiar with. The journey's never over. Well, it's interesting how that happens when you do kind of get that false sense of security. You think everything's okay, and then by not paying attention to yourself and to your emotions, things can unravel all over again. So yeah, that's a very important point, and I appreciate you bringing that up, man. Thank you. All right, so we've got a couple more hands up here. Quantic, I wanted to give you the mic here as well. I see it's hot, so it's all yours.
Yeah, just real quick. Thank you, Chunky, for all of the alpha that you share. I just wanted to ask, like, real quick, how did you get interested in this subject in the first place, in mental health?
Yeah, that's a very good one. I mean, it kind of just, I was working in the airport as like in the retail store, nothing very special. And like one of the things we were selling was literally books. And that's basically how I found the first book I was mentioning, Stop Doing That Shit. I was just reading the title. I thought it was funny. I'm like, why someone put a swear word on the freaking title of a book? And then I kind of just read like the back a little bit, the summary of it. And I was like, this is actually a very interesting book. It might be something that could help me in like my current state of situation. And I just bought that book and read it and really got invested into it.
Amazing. This is so interesting to hear that in your case it was sort of a coincidence then.
Yeah, exactly. And at the same time, like I was just like starting new challenges. I was thinking of ways to get out of the airport because it's just a retail store, nothing's very special. So yeah, it kind of just really came at the right time.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I want to thank you as well for sharing your story, for being vulnerable as well. I wanna say that, you know, I feel like I've mentioned this in private and on tweets a couple of times, but you're definitely one of the most genuine, honest, compassionate people out there. So I'm really happy that you did start that journey, because you are, you know, you're doing amazing work. You're loving and caring and genuine, and I know I certainly appreciate the heck out of you, and I can see how much everyone else in the community appreciates you as well. So yeah, I applaud your courage, man. Honestly, from the heart. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us here. All right, I've got another comment that I want to quickly read. This one's from Monday Anime. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And Monday wrote, I think it's also important to point out that there's a thin line between having compassion for oneself and feeling sorry for oneself. While one helps you understand yourself better and put you in a position where you begin to appreciate your efforts, the other keeps you drowned in your emotions, moaning and pitying yourself instead of appreciating yourself. Awesome. Yeah, we've touched on that, but you've put that in a way that really helps bring it to life and really highlights some of the key points involved in that. So I thank you so much for sharing that. I think there's a lot of power. I'm not sure that there's anything else I can add. I think that that's very self-explanatory, but you're absolutely right. When push comes to shove and you're feeling like everyone's against you, that's when it's time to really rally with yourself and fight with yourself to try and get yourself out and move and grow. So amazing point. Perfect. NFT Unicorn. The mic is yours, my friend. I'm excited to meet you. Welcome.
What's up? Thank you very much, Trev. Finally here in your space. I've been following you for a while now and listening to your space after they got recorded. And basically, my life is not much different than your lives, I believe. But I want to share a short experience that I had last 2 years, and what I use is a quick win for me. I've been sick for over 2 years now. I've been a manager for 20 years. Seen all kind of people for big companies, and the last 2 years I've been sick. No, you're sitting at home, and when you're sitting at home, you start to doubt yourself really quickly. So I had some help for that, and what really works for me is a thought record. You can Google it. It works awesome. It actually is a schedule to reprogram your brain about thoughts you have. Because I was talking negative about to myself, because everybody else in the world around you starts moving again. And the first time when you got sick, people will follow you and go, oh, how are you going? And in the end, you will lose a lot of friends because they have their own lives, and that's all right. I find it's okay. I can understand that, because it can be hard to actually talk to somebody all the time about being sick. But if you search on Google that thought schedule that I was talking about, you can use it if you're healthy or you're sick. It's basically something happens in your surroundings, and because all the things that you have been taught when you're a child, you react in a certain way, and it gives you a basic emotion. You get angry, you get sad, you get happy. And what I've learned is, after that emotion, I stopped doing everything I do and start looking what happened there and how can I respond the next time. And it works. It works for real. That's just what I want to share.
Hey, man. Thank you. Thank you. Just from my heart. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for the support that you're giving us, for being here and being a supporter of Web3 Matters and of Quantic and I. But also, my heart goes out to you, man. Being sick like that, I don't know exactly what your journey is, but it's very, very challenging, especially when it's something that it's out of your circumstances like that. So I just want to let you know that it's extremely valuable that you came here with us today and shared that with us. But also that we're here for you, brother. We're here for you. My DMs are open. If ever you do want to talk about these things, I will never, ever deny you. I very much struggle with that. And I feel like part of that is from being a guy. You know, the reason why one of the main reasons why I burnt out from working in the trauma bay and became depressed is because I did not want to burden other people with what it was that I was feeling, with the stories that I were affecting me, about the things and the horrible emotions that I felt and saw while I was at work, and that broke me. But you bring another point as well, is that, if that's all you're talking about, it's going to take a very special and specific person to stay in your circle, and losing friends is a reality of suffering. There's just some people, and completely understandably so, who just don't know how to be around someone who's having troubles. So really important points that you're bringing up, my friend. And I'm still trying to figure out what the balance of that is. I don't have any answers. All I know is that if you have the right people in your circle and you try to keep that balance between, when you're interacting with them, being vulnerable and being open and being honest, but then also showing them that, this is not all of who you are. The right people will stay with you, and they will stay in your circle. Also, amazing point about Thought Record. I'm definitely going to look into that. I think that's, it sounds extremely valuable, and it definitely sounds like something that would help me out a lot. So I thank you so much, man, for bringing that to the space, and for being here with us, for sharing your story. I'm going to give you the mic back if you wanted to respond to any of this.
All right, thank you very much. Well, it is interesting to look at that Thought Record, and yeah, indeed, you're gonna lose friends, but you have choices in life what you're gonna do with it, right? You got two choices. You're gonna whine about it and be sad about it. It's all right to feel sad about it, but you're also the one and only person that is in charge of your own life to change that thoughts. And you can wait for other people to do so, but they're not gonna do it. You got people that will love you, that will support you. Be very happy with those people, cherish them, but you're the only one that can change your life. And I don't mind being sick. I'm sure I will get better one day. They don't have a cure yet. It's not that bad. Well, it is bad. I can't work anymore, and I don't know if I ever can work. So I love these comments.
Not sure what happened there, but all of a sudden I realized everyone was muted. So if that was me, I apologize. But NFT, the mic's back to you, my friend. I apologize for interrupting your train of thought.
I got a boring story, but
oh no,
I'm just joking.
Oh man,
I'm just joking. No, I don't know, because being sick gives you a lot of opportunities as well to learn and take time to adapt of being sick. And one of the things that I've learned is check out Twitter Spaces, and I love this space, man. This is the really good one, mental health, and I've seen a lot more lately. So it's going to be very important, and not only in Twitter but also in daily life. So that's all. I just thanks for being just thanks for having me around, man. I will be around more.
Yo, hey man, you honor us. It's a true pleasure having you here. You're a very real and genuine person, and you can feel that a mile away. So having you in our circle and growing and being on this journey with you is a true honor. So thanks again, man. I want to reiterate one more time that we're here for you. DMs are always open. So yeah, let's keep going. The one very important point that you brought up that I don't think we've touched on yet is the idea of taking responsibility for your own emotions and for your own happiness. I certainly did that for a while. I was waiting for other people to basically solve my problems for me. And it wasn't until that realization came to my brain of this is very unhelpful. This is not the way to go. Nothing is happening. I'm just getting sadder and more depressed and all of these things. it wasn't until I realized that the only person who's going to dig yourself out of this is you, and don't rely on others to solve your problems for you. It was a tremendously powerful realization as well. So thank you for bringing that to the table. Very, very important point. And yeah, I appreciate you. I love you, brother. Let's keep going here. So, all right, Quantic, I want to check in with you real quick. How are you doing, brother? How are you feeling?
Really, really inspired. Thanks, NFT Unicorn, for sharing that. I think that it takes a lot of courage to join the stages and share your personal experience and your problems. And I just wanted to reinforce what Trav said about our DMs being open and us wanting to be inclusive and wanted to hang around with all of you guys. Like, for real, the reason why we started these spaces and we keep doing it with Trav is because we think that Web3 matters, but it matters because of the human connections that we have made. We all have experienced that at some point. If you stay long enough in Web3 and are trying to real, genuine connections, you will find that as well. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much for sharing.
Awesome, man. Great contribution from you as well, the great Dr. Quantic. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, an important way to kind of reset the stage, reset the space here. So I think next up we had yourself, Money Rich. The floor is yours, my friend. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Trav, Quantic as well. And I wanted to say hello to Abbas and Chunky as well, a couple of my guys. Yeah, thanks for having me. Look, it's funny, even going about speaking about this now. So I'm going to speak about anxiety in my life that I've had. And since I've been little, I've always had anxiety issues, more so than depression issues, although they can lead to the same thing. But to me, it feels, I would describe it, and this is how I used to describe it, is it's sort of like having a light switch that feels like it's stuck off. And I know that if I can get it to flick on, then my mind will be in the right place. But it's a matter of getting it to switch on, and that's how I feel about it. And for me, a really good quote that I love is one that I heard from Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he says about how if you have you could have the best boat or the best plane, but if you've got no destination and no captain, you're not going to go anywhere. It's going to float around, and it won't make it anywhere. So basically, in my honest opinion, I know some people don't like setting goals and don't like the word goals, but for me, having a goal in my life is a big thing for me. I find that for me, a goal of being happy is enough. Some people might have a different goal. It could be anything, I suppose. It could be business related. It could be health related. But for me, it's just to simply be happy. And there's a couple of things I wanted to share that work for me really well. Number one is an obvious one is gym and fitness and stuff like that. That is such a good boost for sort of dopamine release. And if I can consistently get in that routine, the difference is crazy. And I know it's a hard one for some people to do, to actually get out there and do that. But for me, that's huge. But another one that I don't know if everyone does, and I don't know if I'm weird for doing this, but I listen to motivational speeches and stuff quite often, and a few people I'd recommend you listen to are Inky Johnson, Eric Thomas, and John Ron. They're a few of my favorite ones, and that honestly, it can be enough for me to get me out of that stage and sort of flick that switch on. Just hearing some of these people who are so talented at speaking and are so good with words when it comes to these subjects is a great help for me personally, and I'd recommend anyone checks it out if you're ever in the mindset where you need a bit of a boost. And there's a couple more things I just wanted to touch on really quick that I've noticed in my life. So like right now, I say I have anxiety. It's not as bad as it used to be. And stuff like this public speaking is an anxiety thing, but I like to face things head on, so I still just do it. And like I am now, just speaking. And Abbas knows very well. I do a spaces every week, and I speak to someone new every week. And it's for me, that's difficult. I get nervous before those still, but it's for me, it's facing it head on is really important. Being outside the comfort zone and growth is very true. And I notice with me that it is 100% real. Like once I start doing it, and you feel great after doing things that you are uncomfortable with. But two things I've noticed in my life. I've noticed that someone close to me is trying to make quite an important life decision right now when it comes to work. and they're being told by unfortunately by their family to not pursue the one that's the job that's going to make them happy. They're being pushed towards pursuing money. Now, I want everyone to just understand, please do not listen to others. If it's something you want to do and you want to be happy, it is your life. Even if it's your mum or your dad or your auntie or your grandma, even if whoever it is, like, you need to do what makes you happy. That is so crucially important. And it's a shit. And I have plowed this into their brain, and luckily they are taking what I believe to be the correct path, which is the path to their happiness. And I don't want to take the mic space too much more. I just wanted to put one more thing out there. Perspective is so key for me, and I think what's helped me in life recently, or not, in the last few years, I've, for some reason, it's very odd. Now, most people will experience loss in their life, like as in loss of loved ones and death. But for me, I'm 24, and I've experienced about 5 people I know my age - younger, from about as young as 16, and one of my good friends passed away at 20 before his 21st birthday in just a freak accident. And I know that it's a sad subject, but the perspective that has brought upon me and how I feel blessed to be here every day is insane, and it almost brings me out. If I find myself laying in bed feeling sorry for myself, I think about my friend, and I think, I'm lucky to actually have the chance to be here still, and I don't want to waste that. So that, perspective is also very important. And I know not everyone would have gone through something like that, but when you do go through something like that, it truly does hit home how you are so lucky to even be able to feel sorry for yourself. You know what I mean? It's yeah, but I don't want to take up too much. I can waffle on. But thank you, Trav, for letting me up here. I appreciate that a lot.
My man, hey, my heart's feeling full right now, and very, very connected to what you're saying here. Money Rich, my friend, yeah, thank you for being up here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for facing your fears and speaking on the space and contributing what you did. Tons and tons of really important things that definitely deserve to be highlighted, and I want to get into a couple of them here. The first one is what you said about physical activities, about using that as a way to help manage your anxiety. Right there with you, my friend. Doing exercise of some sort every day, whatever it is, as long as I'm getting out and doing something, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's as intense as going rock climbing or running a marathon or something. It doesn't matter what it is. Even just going for a walk, if you're feeling these symptoms, will help you. So really, really important. Honestly, that's one of the first things that I like to do. I think a great way to frame this idea is whenever you are suffering from a mental health perspective, you have to dial back what's important. And that has to start with the very, very basics of making sure you have a good diet, make sure that you're sleeping well, make sure then you can move on to exercise, movement, the physical things need to be addressed first before you are in a space where you can contemplate these higher functioning ideas of, abstract thinking, to be able to be creative, to think about solutions, to be able to find a way to feel better. You have to dial everything back to the very, very basics. So I'm really, really happy that you brought that up. And that's like key in the process. Like I remember probably one of my darkest days after being off of work, just getting up off the couch to go make myself something to eat was an accomplishment. And to be able to see it like that and appreciate for that, instead of being critical on myself, that I wasn't doing anything, was a huge turning point in recovering. So the idea of relativity when it comes to, the things you're doing on a daily basis is so important. And that led into another thing that you said, is the idea of purpose. So like I mentioned, I think I can bring this to light and highlight the importance through another personal, very quick story is, through my journey of healing from depression and burnout and PTSD and all that I'm still working on. Another huge turning point was finding that purpose once again. Like you said, when you are faced in life with these severe traumatic experiences, whether it's death of a loved one, which thank you so much for sharing that, my friend. And my heart goes out to you for your losses. And, that's life can certainly be very cruel. but you've certainly come out of it the other end a very strong and beautiful person. So just quick segue, and that's very important that you hear this. Going through these experiences will change you and will drastically interrupt the flow of what you're doing in your life, will interfere with goals that you're trying to accomplish, and all of these things. First of all, the two most important things with that is that the loss of purpose is significant and will have a massive effect on who you are and how you see yourself and your self-esteem and all of that. But then the opposite is true. If you can find another reason to get out of bed every morning and something that is driving you to act, to direct your energy and behaviors, and it's something that aligns with your values and who you are and what you want to accomplish, that is such an important step towards finding that happiness that we all want to experience. So, so much richness in this conversation, Money Rich. And yeah, I'm just grateful that you're here. Grateful that you're chatting with us. I wanted to give you the mic back just to respond to any of this and give you the opportunity to say some final words here.
Yeah, what you said with the exercise is obviously I agree with. Sleep, like you mentioned, is actually a huge one. Right now, I'm 5 days sleep deprived because I've been doing early shifts, and when I got to wake up at 5 a.m., I struggle to sleep late. Sorry, I do sleep late. I struggle to sleep early. So I'm actually pretty brain fuzzed right now. That's why I wrote down these things so I could remember. Well, I appreciate you giving me the space to speak. A last thought from me is just, even if say it's going to the gym or trying to do something new, don't be afraid to fail. Consistency is key. Even if you're having a bad day and you don't feel like it, doing it will improve your day to no end. If you can manage to pull through completing things and doing tasks that you don't feel like doing, even if it's a small one, will lead to you completing another task you don't feel like doing. And it's the discomfort that actually sort of breeds the progress, in my opinion. And the last thing I would like to say is, as much as you have support from people around you, but ultimately no one can save you but you. And you need to get it into your head that you need to pull yourself through, and you can use the support of other people. And like this space, it is great support, and honestly, stuff like this is really good for people, and it's a good kickstart. But you need to realize it's you versus you, realistically, and that is it. It's your life, live it. Don't let anyone tell you what to do. And that is my final words. Thank you very much for having me up here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro. This is exactly the type of thing that I was hoping we'd get at in a space like this, and the type of speaker that I was hoping would be here. All of you guys have been just amazing today. And I want to take a moment and just thank you all once again for being here with us. That includes all the speakers, but that also includes everyone in the audience. I know this is something that Quantic usually does, but it came to me now, so I'm just going to go ahead and just encourage you guys to all follow each other. Anyone who shows up here, if you send me a follow, I will follow right back. That's what this is all about. This is about connecting with each other, growing with each other, pushing and encouraging each other. And that's, what we're accomplishing here is pretty amazing. So, Quantic, want to check in with you, but we are running out of time here. We've got two other hands up. I see CJ and I see my 2 cents. I want to get to both of you guys, but just everyone, just to be mindful, we're going to be wrapping this up pretty soon. On that note, Quantic, I want to give the mic right back to you to check in here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Did you just remind with the shout out to our audience?
I'm not sure if I'm rugging or if you're rugging, but one of us is rugging. Maybe I'll just ask you to try speaking again, unless nobody can hear me right now.
It's him rugging. Sorry.
Awesome. Thanks for that feedback, Quantic. I think you're having some technical difficulties over there. You want to try that again? Quantic, you are back. Can you communicate with us?
Yes, I think I can. Can you hear me, right?
You are good. You are good. And another victory. This is great news. Floor is yours.
Great. Yeah, no, I don't know what happened before, but I was just going to say that you kind of read my mind regarding like the importance of connecting with each other, Please let's follow each other. Please let's connect and let's keep in touch, because this is how we make this space so powerful, by trying to being really supportive and building real connections, real relationships. And just wanted to say thanks to all of you also. And I was just going to tell you, Trap, that maybe we should try to wrap it up. But first, let's try to give a place to all of the people that were not able to speak before we wrap up. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds great, man. Sounds absolutely great. Yeah, the last hand I see up here is CJ. So CJ, I want to give you the mic, give you an opportunity to say your piece, and yeah, we'll take it from there, man. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, guys. Hello, Trav. Hope everyone had a good day or is having a good day. Before I go further, before I speak, I always tell myself I'll just confess this, which is like money rich. I do have social anxiety because whenever I go on space, my heart do beat, and it gets when I don't confess that I'm not as eloquent as I would like to be. I won't speak as well as I would like to be. So this is me being real. So with that out of the way, I don't think I can add anything new to the conversation because much have been said, even from the show why I've been here. I wanted to close my Twitter and go do something else, but because I've been on my screen almost all day since morning. But as I saw the subject about mental health, I know this is very important. Whenever I see this subject comes up, I'm always championing it because a lot of people take it for granted, especially in this region that I come from, which is Africa. So, with that being said, without our mind, we can't do anything. That's just how the nature of human being works. So even if you are physically sick, if you are mentally okay, you can still operate to some degree. But if you are mentally sick, there is nothing you can do. There's no help from there's little way that you can fix that. So with that being said, I've been down mentally many times, but I came back strong. It's not something you fix and you fix forever. It's an ongoing process. It's like exercising. It's like staying healthy. It's like eating. It's not something you don't just eat once and you rest. You eat daily to survive. That's how you take care of your mental health as well. There are things you need to do to make sure you have optimal health mentally. So with that being said, I wouldn't say what I haven't practiced. I don't like preaching what I don't practice. So it's what I use to keep myself mentally fit is what I'll say. So there's this. I think there's five of them. I think I use a hobby, a routine. I read good books. I get good sleep, and I have a quality social circle. So those are the five. Okay, that is five. Those are the five main things that keeps me mentally fit. My hobbies, which includes me, I do a little bit of martial arts. You get so my hobbies. I like sports. I play basketball. So I create that time for it, even if it's not every day, but I do create time for it. Then my morning and evening routines, I don't joke with it. Even if I don't do them all, I don't joke with it. Routines are so important. Your mind gets used to it and it keeps you sharp. Like in the morning, I make sure as soon as I wake up, I get to drink water. I do a little bit of exercise and meditating with journaling. These two things are highly underrated. Keep a diary, guys. Honestly, you thank yourself for it. It helps you clear your mind. After you meditate, I recommend that because that's what I do when I clear my head space. Meditation doesn't mean you have to turn into a monk because whenever I do that, I freak some of my folks out. They'll be like, what are you doing? But I just like, I sit on my own and I clear my head. Even if I have to use earplugs or use my earpiece to block things out, just make sure I have that moment of quietness even if it's for 5 minutes. It don't have to be the very long time, but I clear my head out. Then I write in my journals, express how I'm feeling, like talk to myself like a therapy, be very sincere. So I do that every morning, though I do sometimes miss it at night, but every morning before I start my day, as I wake up. I make sure I do that. And I try to get as much information as I can to keep myself mentally fit, which can come through podcasts, books, and spaces like this one that Travis hosting. And that's why I hopped on it, even though I wanted to go off for the day. And guys, good sleep. You can't just they can't say, I don't know how to say it, in the sense that sleep is so important. Sleep is so important. So make sure you sleep, and you sleep at a particular time so that you get your system used to it. You sleep at least. Even if I know the web3 doesn't sleep, the internet doesn't sleep. Much less when you're a community manager like myself. You don't even have time. There's always a lot to do. The to-do list is always choked. So the thing is, I just have to find time to prioritize my taxes. There's this app I use, Tick. It helps me organize myself properly. I'm not here to shill any app. So but the thing is, prioritize the taxes and sleep. Have good sleep. And when it comes to your social circle, quality is better than quantity. You rather talk to 2 quality people all the rest of your life than to have 1,000 persons that don't really understand you, that you can't really express your genuine self to, and are not really supportive. I always, though I'm an introvert instinctively, so I just filter out a lot of people. That my social circle is quite small. But the people I do hold close, they are so there to me and they're so supportive. If I tend to encounter anyone that is opposing my vision for my life, or as Money Rich was saying, like my goals, I don't really associate with them. So that too helps. But you have to socialize, because mankind is a social creature. So you can't just help that. You need to find quality people. So that's what I wanted to add to the conversation. And for anyone that, I don't know if anyone here is afraid to speak, because as I started, I told you guys I had social anxiety, right? I always hop on spaces and encourage anyone. If you have that, you need to conquer it, because it limits how you network and connect with people. And socializing is very important. So with that, I'll leave you guys with this quote. This is from Marcus Aurelius. He said, if you're having anxiety, it means you're wanting something that's aside from yourself, something that's beyond your control. Maybe you want to impress someone, or you don't want to fuck up. You don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to fail. That's why the anxiety is there. You don't want to speak incorrectly, so people will judge you. But I found out that I don't need to impress anyone. I'm not here to impress anyone. I'm here to express myself and, give out the value I know I have, or maybe inspire someone, help someone, as people have helped me unknowingly. Even if I don't get to talk to them, 1 or 2 ways, the information they shared, it helped me out. So with that being said, thank you so much, Trav, for hosting the space. And I encourage everyone to prioritize your mental health. Don't just listen. Try to implement these things that are said here. If you are having issues, talk to someone. Like Trav said, the DMs are always open. You can even talk to a random stranger. Here, they just try and see. Talk to someone. Because if you keep those things inside, they will eat you from the inside out. So thank you guys. And thank you, Trav.
Man, CJ, what an amazing way to close this space off, my friend. You say that you're here and you're not trying to impress people, which I respect, and I think that's the way to go. I just want to say I'm thoroughly impressed. Well done, my friend. First of all, I commend you for overcoming your fear and facing it, and not even that, but calling it out. You came across as completely elegant, very, very well spoken, very calm. So I just want to mention to you that the things that you were striving to accomplish, you certainly have in flying colors, my friend. So thank you. Secondly, Marcus Aurelius has officially made an appearance to our space. I'm so happy about that. Honestly, the whole idea of Stoicism is kind of the theory he gets into, Marcus Aurelius. It kind of relates back to the Ryan Holiday book that we spoke about earlier. He's very much into the idea of Stoicism. But I highly recommend anyone who's looking for a new way to like just perceive life and frame life. So much value in his work, and it's just absolutely incredible. Has changed my life for sure. Two other things that you touched on that I want to highlight here real quick is the idea that you mentioned of it's okay to feel not okay, and the amount of power in that leads to accepting what you are, what you're feeling, who you are, your thoughts and emotions. And I think it's really important to take that and to remind yourself in times when you're not feeling okay is that is okay. And that is normal. And that is part of the human condition. And that's part of the growth. And like you said about sleeping, about how important sleeping is, sleeping is when you grow. It's when physically your body heals itself. It's when things that you've learned become consolidated into your memory, is when legitimately you grow as a person. And I think the same can be said about times when you were down, when you were depressed. You know, it is part of the human condition, and it is through those experiences that you are going to grow the most. We've spoken about experiencing loss. We've spoken about trauma. I truly believe that these situations are the monumental points in our life when we will experience the most amount of growth if we let ourselves and if we embrace that and accept what we've gone through and accept how we are reacting to it. So you've brought a ton of value to this space. I think you've touched on a lot of the topics that we've spoken on already. And CJ, I just want you to know, man, I love you and I appreciate what you brought with us here today. Your hand's up, so I want to let you respond. So it's all yours.
One more thing, guys. There's this thread I wrote on, burnout in the Web3 space. So you guys can check it out. I just dropped it in the comment section. Thank you, Lex. Thanks a lot.
Pin it up top, man. You can pin it to the Jumbotron. That's what it's there for. That sounds like it's a helpful one. Burnout is real. Let's get it up top. People can see it before they take off here, and let's put some light on that. So yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you. Quantic, here we are, my friends. What a space. Holy smokes. How are you feeling, man? Where are you at?
No, man, I'm completely in shock. Completely in shock. I mean, I cannot believe that we just had Marcus Aurelius on this space. Can you imagine that? I mean, thank you so much, CJ, for bringing so much value to this conversation. It was a perfect way to wrap out this very nice conversation that we have had today. And I truly, truly appreciate you and all of the people that came today to share enormous amount of value. It takes, I said it before, but I would repeat it, it takes a lot of courage to join to a stage and just say, okay, I'm nervous. Okay, I've been through some difficult stuff. It is really difficult. So congratulations to all the people who joined it today and provided value. And for the people that wanted to do so, but this time they couldn't do it, don't worry, guys. We will be here each week. We have these spaces which are called Web3 Matters. So we would like to invite you all to connect with us and to keep to keep in touch, because we want to keep building a safe space for everyone to feel like included and to grow together.
Trav, I don't really know how to pin the tweet. I'm not really too used to Twitter Spaces, so I don't know how to pin the tweet up top. So you can help me out with that.
I got you, brother. It's up there. We're good to go. Thank you, man. Perfect. Well, hey, Quantic, I think you summed that up perfectly. Yeah, what an amazing space. I'm also kind of lost for words right now. I came into this knowing how important of a topic it was, but the response that we've got from all of you, the amazing stories we've heard today, the tips, the pointers, the lessons is tremendous. And from a very, very personal note, I just want to thank all of you guys for being here. Truly, this has touched my heart. This has touched my soul. What Quantic and I are doing here, I just want to reiterate that is exactly this. We want to create a community. We want to foster a community, bring all of us together where we can all grow, where we can learn from each other, where we can make the most out of everything that Web3 has to offer. And it just blew my mind what we were able to accomplish this today. So it hits on many levels. It hits on the fact that, it validates what we're trying to do, and it validates that you guys all are with us as well on this journey. But also, we're creating something beautiful. We're genuinely coming together and making this happen. And this is all thanks to all of you. So once again, everyone, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Special thanks to Chunky and Abbas, our two guests today. Thank you guys for being here with us, for sharing your story. Special thanks to all of the speakers who came up here and weren't afraid to be vulnerable, or were afraid, but then worked through it and faced their fears and shared with us anyways. Thank you. Thanks to everyone in the audience who listened, for being here with us, for showing your support. And lastly, I just want to say to anyone out there who is having a tough time, and it's kind of hitting on an emotional level here, so I apologize if I let a bit of that emotion come out. But we love you. You're doing amazing. You're an awesome person. You're not alone, and we are here for you. So if ever you need to reach out, we've got your back. Know that things will be okay. Know that you are strong and know that you are worth it. So on that note, we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for being here. This has just been beautiful and amazing. And yeah, I look forward to our next one. So on that note, Quantic, I don't know if there's any last words you wanted to add, but otherwise I'll wrap things up here.
Nothing else to say. I'm so grateful. I feel like really energized after this space, and let's keep moving. Let's keep growing together. Thank you, guys.
Love it. No, I'm right there with you, man. Usually I'm pretty drained after these spaces, but I actually feel very uplifted today. So I want to thank you guys once again for that. Like, you are making a difference in my life, and I appreciate you. So. All right, we're wrapping it up. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate all of you. And yeah, let's keep growing. So much love. Have a great rest of your day.